Hey everybody, welcome back to my video blog. Previously we did a session about the audition process from the beginning, the application, and the pre-screening materials and all that sort of thing. Now to continue kind of on that vein, the next part, after you've completed the pre-screening and you get accepted and you go for your live audition. Now every school's live audition is going to be different, and there's no way for me to tell you exactly how it's going to be, but I just wanted to give you a few suggestions of things that I think are important when you're preparing for your audition. The first thing is to schedule and plan out the time that you're going to be there before you get there. If you need to travel, maybe you need a hotel, flights. For me, I think it's important to get there with time to be comfortable. So to me that means maybe getting there the night before, knowing how you're going to get from where you're staying to the audition, just so you can feel comfortable when you get there. Make sure you have time to warm up and all that stuff. You don't want to be flying by the seat of your pants on a really important day in your life. Another thing to think about is how you look. If you show up in ripped jeans and a t-shirt, are the faculty likely to take you that seriously? Probably not. You want to be yourself, but you definitely want to look presentable and professional to the faculty and to everyone of the administrators you're going to meet and the other students. You just want to give off a good vibe. Obviously you want to be prepared with all the written materials. If you need copies of your application, copies of tunes that you're playing, or copies of scores for the faculty that will be evaluating your audition. If you need copies of tunes for the rhythm section that you're playing with, are they in the right key? All these kinds of things. Just make sure everything's squared away before you get there. Another suggestion might be to get to know the faculty and who they are, their reputation, what they've done before you get there. It's always nice to know a little bit about the people that you're going to be talking to. You can ask them questions and get to know them if you get the chance, passing them in the hallway or different things like that. So taking the time to get to know the people that you're going to be working with, hopefully, if you get accepted, can go a long way in giving off a good impression. Universities aren't just looking for the most gifted students that can play everything already. They're looking for students that are open to learning. They're looking for students with open minds and that are gifted with musical talents. I would also suggest that you try to be prepared for more than just what's on the piece of paper for the requirements. I know for me as a jazz musician, sometimes maybe you'll get asked to play tunes in another key, at another tempo, in another situation, meaning maybe usually you play it with the drums, the bass, and the piano. Maybe they ask, why don't you just play it by yourself, a cappella, without the rhythm section? Or sometimes they might ask you to do other things like chord identification with ear training. Know if there's any special things that you need to have prepared for these auditions. Like for example, at Juilliard, they require that you play a piece, because I play trombone, with a plunger mute. So that was one thing that I had to be aware of, is being prepared to play that piece with the plunger mute. At Eastman, you have to take the separate classical audition before you do the jazz audition, so you have to have both of those things together. Now, aside from the playing portion, some schools will have you actually do an interview with the administration and maybe some of the faculty. Just trying to get to know who you are as a person, as a student. Are you a good fit for the school? It'd be a great idea for you to consider a few simple questions and how you might answer them. Like, tell us about yourself. How are you going to answer that question? What are you looking for in a music school? What are you looking for in a teacher? Have a few questions together that you might want to ask them, and not about when will you tell me when we're going to get accepted, or what are the scholarships like. Those are important considerations, but try to ask questions that are actually about the program, about the school, and be informed about the things that they do, so that you can have a good conversation with those people and put yourself in the best light you can. Now each school that you audition at is going to have a different environment, and you have to be prepared for any situation. Some schools will have a big entourage there to greet you, and some it'll be a modest table and a few people, and they'll direct you to where you need to go. But either way, you should try to be as cordial as you can and just go with the flow. don't forget that just because you're nervous, you still got to be kind and nice to people. You don't want little things getting back somehow, like, oh, yeah, that person was rude to me when I was trying to show them their practice room. These little things do matter. So just take into consideration to try to breathe and be relaxed for the audition. My teacher always told me that an audition is just a snapshot of your musical skills on that day. That's all it is. It's not the end-all be-all, and who knows what path you might go down, whether you get into the school you think you want to go to or you don't. Maybe the school that you don't want to go to is actually the best school for you to end up at. You never know, where life is going to lead you, and just be open to all the possibilities. So for my audition experience, I recommend this is checking out schools the year before, if you have the time. I took trips to Texas, to the University of North Texas, to check them out, University of Miami. I went with a former teacher of mine to Youngstown State University. I was taking some lessons at Eastman because I grew up in Rochester, so I was kind of around that atmosphere. And I came down to New York to visit the schools here. So when you do that, you can kind of get an idea of where you might want to audition, certain kind of programs, the different academic requirements that might be involved. And that way you can narrow down which applications you want to focus on in the year that you're going to take the auditions. So for me, I applied to the Eastman School of Music, Manhattan School of Music, and Juilliard for my undergrad. Just those three, because those were my focuses, and those is where I felt like I would fit in the best. So having that focus, allowed me to kind of get together all the stuff that I needed to without having to worry about superfluous information. I took time to record a good pre-screening tape for each, went into a studio and got great musicians to play with, make sure everything was right, because it's important. You want to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward. And then even more specifically for my master's degree, I knew that I wanted to come to New York, so I decided I was going to apply to the schools that were in New York. So I applied to the Manhattan School and to Juilliard. So my audition experiences have been mostly with those conservatory type schools, where there's also extra considerations when you're going there for the audition, including maybe the theory tests or history tests, trying to just get a background knowledge about what where you stand in terms of their program. So I hope that a little bit of this information has been helpful to you in just kind of being prepared for your auditions coming up, and I wish you all the best of luck, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.